Welcome to Conversations with David Ibarra. And my guest today is Fernando Arroyo. Welcome, Fernando.
Well, thanks for having me, David.
Now, this is a really special episode because Fernando Arroyo is my oldest friend. We became friends when we were, 14 years old, ninth grade?
That's right.
It's when I first left Utah to go to Sacramento to join my dad. This guy was my first friend and still my friend all those years. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, this is a treat.
So what I'd like to do, Fernando, is talk about, Fernando, you became a professional baseball player. Why don't you tell us the teams that you played with? And then I want to ask you something about preparation. When was the first time you thought, at what age, I want to be a professional baseball player?
I was drafted in June of 1970, and I was drafted by the Detroit Tigers. I was in the organization with them for 9 years, and then was traded to the Minnesota Twins, and then went on to play with the Oakland A's. My preparation for all that was really the beginning of my young childhood and playing Little League, which I had an uncle, first of all, that taught us the game, taught us sports, and kind of got involved like that. And
Is that Ruben?
That was Ruben, yes.
Okay,
My Uncle Vu, we called
yeah.
him, yes, Ruben Reyes. And he took my brother and I to the park, and he started hitting ground balls to us and started playing catch, and one thing led to another, and he did this. He was pretty consistent with this. So after the baseball thing, he got us into basketball. He put boxing gloves on us, and taught us a little bit about boxing and football. So all sports, we got involved in, and it was a big help for me at a young age to learn, coordinate, get my body getting coordinated, and having a feel for the game. And I fell in love with baseball. That was my favorite sport.
And if I'm going to ask this question, though. When did you think the first thought, professional? I'm going to get paid to play.
Well, I actually didn't think about the paying part of it as being a professional ball player. I told myself, and I remember telling my family, I think it was my mom, I even mentioned to her at 8 years old that I was gonna be a professional baseball player. And luckily I got to achieve that goal, and it's, I was blessed that I was healthy enough to last this long, because as a player, anything could happen in any sport. You get an injury, and your career, or your goals, your dreams can be shut down right there. But I was very blessed and got a chance to live the dream.
So you gained your life purpose at 8 years old, and then
Yes.
it turned to preparation. Tell me a little bit about what you thought about it. How did you get prepared to be drafted by the Detroit Tigers? What did you go through in getting to the level that you got noticed and then drafted?
I think it's the 10,000 hour thing. I think at a young age, I played on a league. On teams every year. I was fortunate where I grew up in Sacramento. I lived near two ballparks, and if I wasn't playing on the league, if it wasn't a league game, I'd play with our friends. We'd have games at the park, whether it was baseball, football, basketball. Well, basketball we didn't have a court, but football and baseball. But my preparation was the consistency, I think, of me playing a lot. Every summer, Sacramento, we were lucky because our climate was good for us. We can play year round. And that's what I did. I played year round, and my preparation really was to be playing on teams and competing. And I just competed and tried to do the best I could. And it took me to the top.
I'm going to ask you another question. When did you absolutely for certain know you were going to get drafted? You just knew, I'm going to play Major League Baseball.
I had aspirations of playing in the major leagues, obviously, and it was funny because I really didn't have a whole lot of scouts looking at me. I always achieved good numbers. I pitched good. I was, all-star team in high school, always Little League through Babe Ruth, American Legion. I mean, I didn't have a lot of feedback from, a lot of scouts. I was more or less hoping that I would. Well, I wasn't for sure, but I was hoping that, someone would find me and ask me to play, professional baseball, and then it happened, and it was kind of funny because Bernie DeViveros was the scout that saw me, and he came to see another pitcher. He came to see Butch Metzger.
Oh yeah,
who was number one pick for the Giants,
and he ended up playing in San Diego too, right?
San Diego was co-rookie of the year. Yes, a really good talent, and he came to see Butch, and I happened to be pitching that day
against Butch's team.
Butch wasn't there. He got mixed up somehow. He got the schedule wrong or whatever. Ended up watching my game, which I remember it was a 7-inning game, obviously high school, and I think I threw 70 pitches in 7 innings. And he was very impressed by me, and he called me a couple days later and asked if I'd like to be drafted by the Detroit Tigers. And of course, I was excited. I turned to my mom and said, "Hey, they want to draft me," and she smiled, and sure enough, a few days the draft came up, and I was drafted by Bernie DeViveros and the Detroit Tigers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had to be just an absolutely unbelievable feeling.
Oh, it was amazing. You're kind of surprised. It's something, you had dreamt about, and for it to be happening, I was excited, and then I had to leave. I knew I had to get on a plane and fly to Florida, all the way to the East Coast, which was my first plane ride.
And you joined, was it rookie, single A, double A?
Yes. I went to Rookie League. I signed a Batavia, New York contract, which was a league. Excuse me. And but they ended up sending me to a Rookie League in Bristol, Tennessee, the Appalachian League. And I went there, and I had a good showing. I was 5-1, and then I was promoted the next year to Lakeland, Florida, which was a Class A league. I bypassed the Batavia team, which was not. It was uncommon, that I normally, back in those days, I signed in 1970. It was like a ladder that you had to climb one step at a time. Rookie ball, A ball, double A, triple A, and if you're good enough and fortunate enough to get to the major leagues. So
tell me your progression. Or did it go exactly that way, or did you skip?
Well,
okay.
I doubled up a couple of times. I went rookie ball as a starter. And then I went to A-ball as a starter in the Florida State League. Then I was promoted to Double-A my third year in 1972 in Montgomery, Alabama, with the Montgomery Rebels. I went as a relief pitcher that year. They put me in the bullpen. Spots started. Next year, I went back to Montgomery in 1973 as a starter. Then the year 1974, I go to Evansville, Indiana, AAA, my first year, as a reliever again. It's like they're grooming me. They put me in relief, and then if I, do well enough, I went back again as a starter. Of course, I've always been a starter, and I wanted to be a starter even at the major league level. But in 1974 as a reliever, went back in 1975 and as a starter, and I started the year out very good. Very good, where I got promoted in 1975 and got to the major leagues with Detroit.
Wow. So tell me about that communications that occurred. You're going to the show. And then going to the show means you're going to the big league. You're going to the big. Tell me about
that was exciting because I knew I was having a good year, and that spring training, I had a really good spring training. I was actually cut the last day. I did so well.
And being cut from spring training means the going with the major league.
Yes,
team.
I was at the major league camp and getting an opportunity to show myself. They wanted to see me at that level, and of course, in Florida, we played a lot of the other teams, the National League teams. Detroit was an American League team. We played National League, the Cincinnati Reds with the Big Red Machine in '75, which ended up winning the World Series that year. But got to play National League, all the mixture of all the teams in the in Florida during spring training at that time. So I was cut the last day. They said, just go down and just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be up in no time. So I went positive attitude. I went down to AAA. I started. I had my record wasn't. I think I was, if I remember, I was like 4-2 or something like that. 5-2. But my ERA was real good. I had an ERA that was below 2, I believe, or right around the 2 mark, which was good enough to get promoted and get to the major leagues that year. But I remember my manager, Fred Hatfield, we were out having our batting practice and doing our drills before game time in Evansville, and I get called in. Hatfield calls me in and sits me down, and he says, he looks at me with a little grin on his face. He says, they want you in the big leagues. They want you in Detroit. And it felt, I was, I didn't know whether to cry, to laugh, I mean, it was just a moment there of joy. I thought of my family, everybody, how happy they would be to hear this news, as happy as I was. And sure enough, we shook hands, and he,
I don't remember you calling me after that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. There was a time, there was a moment in our relationship where we kind of got away from each other, because as close as we are, as close as we were, you went off a little bit military. You went into the ice cream business. And I was doing my thing in minor league ball, traveling from team to, city to city.
You called me the next day.
Was it?
Yeah,
I don't remember. It's been so long. Yeah, you got me there because I didn't remember.
You tried to make up something.
Yeah. So, okay, good.
So then
good.
what
I
happened?
feel better.
Then what happened?
Well, I went back and I packed up my apartment, got all my things together, my 2 suitcases I think I had that, and flew into Detroit. And met the guys in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. We were playing the Baltimore Orioles at the time, and so I got there a little late. The game was over. I met them at the hotel, and they're coming in, and they're, they're all. The team starts coming in. They start congratulating. Hey, kid, welcome. But the last thing that Fred Hatfield said when he said, "You're going to Detroit. They want you in the big leagues," and he says, "I don't want to see you back here." In other words, stay. It's one thing to get to the major leagues and stay there. Yeah, because a lot of times you go up and down, and then sometimes you never get back. Yeah. But I remember him telling me, I don't want to see you back down here. And I said, thanks. And then the Baltimore thing, I went to Baltimore, and like I said, that night they were coming off the bus and coming in. We greeted everybody, and so the next day I went to the park early. Oh, I was so excited! I was back in Little League, with all this excitement. And a couple of guys I rode in a cab because I knew them from spring training.
Sure.
I knew the guys, so no one was like new to me. I was, So anyway, we get to the park, and the craziest thing happened. I'm in there, I walk in, my uniform's hanging, and I see my name, Arroyo, on the back of my jersey. It's hanging face out, so everybody knew, where their lockers were. And a big number 36 on it, and wow, there's my uniform. And I didn't have that number in spring training. I had a different number. But this was my official first time number uniform. And so I'm at my locker, and I'm getting dressed, and Ralph Houck comes in. Ralph Houck was the manager at the time. Ralph Houck comes in, and he's got a gentleman. One of our coaches is walking with a gentleman, a reporter, and he's walking with him. Ralph is a little bit ahead of them, and they walk into Ralph's office, and so I thought nothing of it, I went in and actually I waited a little bit because. When they went in the office, they were only there probably for, 3 minutes it seemed. But all of a sudden, the door flies open, and Ralph Houck is swinging. He's trying to hit this guy, this reporter, because the reporter had written something in the newspaper about him conceding the season. This was, later on, which, we were in last place or second to last place, and he said something in there that related Ralph into conceit. So Ralph he
Those,
tricked him into
those
coming
were
in.
the good old
Oh,
days.
they were the days, I'm telling you. Yes, 1975. But anyway, that was my first time in the locker room, and Ralph comes out swinging at this reporter, and I'm thinking, I don't think you're supposed to do that, you know. It was so bizarre.
Welcome to South Sacramento.
Yeah,
That's our territory.
Yeah, right. And so after that, Ralph went in, and he was changed. I went in, and of course, I told him I was here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, and he says, "Good, glad to have you, kid," you know, and you know, you'll be fine, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be fine. And so that was that. The game, we go out to do our batting practice
Mm-hmm.
and our throwing, getting loose, and doing all our warm ups and whatnot. And I'm in Baltimore Stadium. And I remember afterwards going in to change to come out before the game, and now the crowd is a lot bigger. Now there's more people in the stands, and now I have to walk out to the bullpen, which is in right field. But we take that walk across the relievers. We cross and we go out there, and we're losing the game. Needless to say, we're in the eighth inning. We're losing, and the phone rings in the bullpen, and they say, "Arroyo, they want me to get up and get loose." And my heart just started pumping, you know. I was, you know, so I got a ball. I'm trying to be cool, like, you know, this is all, but inside, you know.
Happens
it's just,
every day.
Yeah, exactly. First time I get up in the bullpen, I warm up, and sure enough, it's time. He gives up another hit, another run, the pitcher. Bring in the righty, bring in the reliever. And sure enough, it's me. I remember getting in a little golf cart in Memorial Stadium, in Baltimore. They had a golf cart that had a big Oriole helmet as the cover on top. So they wheel me all the way to first base. I get out. The bat boy comes out. He takes my jacket, takes it into the dugout, and I go to the mound and I start warming up. And I'm nervous, and I'm just keep doing what you've always done. You know, you prepared. You talk about preparation. I've done this all my life. This is what I've done. So control my mind, control my emotions, and just start warming up. I start warming up, and what I really remember, and it was the huge moment in my life when the first hitter that stepped in to the plate that I faced at that time was Brooks Robinson.
Wow.
The one of the greatest third basemen of all time, and Hall of Famer, and so he was my first hitter that I faced. And I remember I threw a fastball, and I had a sinker, so it kind of jammed him a little bit, and he hit a short fly ball to left field for my first out. Of course, they get the ball and they roll it in the dugout. You know, they save it for you as the memento, and that was it. You know, that was the beginning of of my my first.
Now you never got sent back to Evanston, right?
I did because of an injury.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that when you had your knee surgery?
That's when I had my knee surgery, and
where did you go to recoup from that knee surgery? Whose house did you go to?
I went to your house in Los Angeles. Yes. I went to your Dr. Frank Job did the surgery. Who was the inventor of the Tommy John? He did Tommy John surgery.
So you went back. You got you got some throws in. Then you went back up to the bigs. And when is it that you moved to a starter and entered the rotation?
Well, that was in 77.
Okay.
1977, after knee surgery. I had lost 76.
Yeah.
I had lost the year because of my knee. But I went back. I came back strong. I made the team from the beginning, from spring training. I made the team and went on and started in the bullpen, but then came back and took Mickey Lolich's spot in the rotation. And that's when I became the starter that I've always wanted to be, and that was 1977.
So who were the other starters on that team?
Well, we had Joe Coleman was one of our starters. Well, Mickey was before I took his spot, Mickey Lolich. And then we had Joe Coleman was one of our starters, and Dave Roberts was another one of our starters at that time. And but
now there was another pitcher that came in that almost everybody knew.
Oh yes, Mark the Bird Fidrich. Yes. Wow, what a character!
Birdman.
There was Bird Mania in Michigan in '76 is actually when he appeared, his first year, and had a great year. I believe his record was 19-9.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought he should have won the Cy Young Award, but he didn't. And but he had a great year, and it was really the people in Michigan went nuts, cuckoo for this guy. He was a character who used to. They say he talked to the ball, but he was actually talking to himself.
Right.
But with the ball in his hand, it looked like he was trying to communicate with the ball. Here, you're supposed to go here, not over there. And his antics, his actions.
He was
on the
psyching
mound.
himself up, as I recall. And,
Yes.
And he would play with the mound. But tell me, so you played how many total years in the major leagues in the United States?
8 years of major league time.
And then you left, and I think you went to the White Sox organization and pitched there for a little while. Was that right?
Yes, I went to. I was picked up by them after being released from the major leagues. I was picked up by the Chicago White Sox in 1983.
And I believe you had the best ERA in minor league baseball during that time, if I'm not.
I had the best record.
Okay.
My ERA wasn't as good as some other guys, but I was the winningest pitcher that year. I was 14-4, and we ended up winning the championship for the Denver Bears. Played in Denver, Colorado. We ended up winning the championship, and it was a fun year.
Then you went into Mexico and finished your career. And how long did you play there?
I went to Mexico and I played. In '86 was my last year in the States.
Yeah.
Then I went on to Mexico and ended up playing another 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so
now you played in one big game there. I think it was the World Series or their equivalent.
I'm sorry, but yes, we won a championship. I won a championship a couple of different times with two different teams.
And what were those teams?
One was the Leones de Yucatan, which are the Lions of Yucatan in Mérida, Mexico. And the other one was Mexico City, the Diablos. And so I got to, and I pitched the championship game for each championship there that we won. So that was a thrill. Mérida was a little more special because they hadn't won in, I don't know if it was over 25, 30 years. They hadn't won a championship. And what was exciting, the people, Mérida's a little bit different. In Yucatan, you have your Mayans. A little bit different in their look and food. Their dialect is different. They were very fanatic about their baseball. And so that game I pitched, we were just we got into the playoffs just on the last couple of games of the season. So we were the fourth team to get in the playoffs. And we ended up winning the championship. So that was exciting, and I remember that game, and I'll just because it was so exciting that the last out was hit back to me. The ground ball was hit back to me. I remember I raised my hand in the air and then threw it to first base. All the people charged the field. They picked me up, and they carried me from first base all around the outfield on their shoulders.
Wow.
I've got
These
pictures.
are the fans?
These are the fans.
Wow.
And I have a picture of that, and you can see that everybody's on the field, and I'm the only one in the air, and I've got the number one sign, like Namath did out of after he won the Super Bowl. But it was an exciting time for me, to win it there in Mexico.
I want to go back to the majors and when you were pitching, because I remember I asked you to come and speak to my associates at the dealership that I was running at the time and talk about believing in yourself. And you had a little story that I want you to share with our viewers about believing in yourself. And I believe you still were a rookie, but why don't you share that story with us?
Yes, it was my first major league start in 1975, and it was at Fenway. Boston Red Sox. And it was the second game of a doubleheader. I was told 4 days prior. I was called in the office, and they said, Fernando, you're pitching the second game you're starting the second game of the doubleheader in Fenway. Now, we had no success against Boston that year. Matter of fact, they went on to be in the World Series. But so I was excited then. It was like something new again. I'm going to get my first start in the big leagues in '75. And so I go to the game. We lost the first game. And I go, I go get prepared to start the second game of the doubleheader. Now, our starting catcher was Bill Freehand, who was Gold Glove like 8 times, All-Star 10 times, just a big figure in the game as a catcher, and won the '68 World Series with the Tigers that year. Well, he was our starting catcher, but since he caught the first game, we put in Terry Humphrey, our backup catcher, caught the second game. So I started that game. And I'm going through one inning, second inning. I give up a 2-run home run, I want to say, to Bob. Bob, I'll get it.
To Bob.
Who knows? To Bob.
You gave it up to Bob.
Bob hit a Bob.
What about Bob?
He hit a big Bob, yeah. And anyway, I gave up a home run to him. We're down 2-0. And anyway, the game's going on. It's going on. I'm in a zone. I've got blinders on, tunnel vision. I am just into my game, and I'm going along. Next thing you know, I'm in the 5th inning. And we're still down. I'm going in the 6th inning. I'm going in the 7th inning. Willie Horton hits a 3-run home run in the 8th inning. We go up 3-2.
Okay.
So I go out in the 8th inning. We go finish the 8th. But Ralph Howe changes my catcher and puts Bill Freehand in for defensive purposes. Now we're up 3-2. We get a run in the 9th inning. And so I go out and I pitch the 8th. No run, nothing. We're 4-3. I go in the 9th. We get an extra run, an insurance run. I go out in the 9th. Now Freehand's catching me. And I get an out. I get a runner on. Runner gets the second. I get another out. Now, let me set this up a little bit. I'm from California, born and raised, 70s, late 60s, 70s, and it's all about peace and love. Hate Ashbury, all this stuff's going on in California.
Stop right there. Don't tell any more. Don't give up any more information, brother.
Okay, I'm glad you stopped me because it could have got sideways.
Okay, no.
But so now I've got a runner on second base, and I've got 2 outs, and Rico Petrocelli comes to the plate. And this whole game, I'm in the 9th inning, and I'm just cruising. Like no one's talking to me. I'm in my own world, and Freehand puts down a slider. And I go, no. He says, slider. Now, Bill, 8-time Gold Glove, All-Star, he calls timeout, and he comes out to the mound. And Bill's like 6'5", so as he's climbing the dirt, he's getting taller on me. And so I'm kind of looking up at him, and he says, Rook, Petrocelli's a dead fastball hitter. And I looked at him, and I said, well, I'm just going with my vibes. He looked at me and said, what? I said, I'm going with my vibes. I'm in the 9th inning, my vibes is I'm going with what's got me here. He looked at me, kind of gave me this look, and just turns around. And he goes back behind the plate. He puts down the fastball, and I throw it, and Petrocelli hits a ground ball to Aurelio Rodriguez at third base to end the game. So I went 9 innings and beat Boston 5-3 that day.
Cool.
And afterwards, I got into the dugout or into the clubhouse a little late because I was being interviewed after the game. So when I walk in, it's a small little clubhouse. But when I walk in, Freehand yells out at me, "There's the rookie. Someone explain to me what vibes are. I want to know what vibes are." And it was hilarious. Everybody was
cool.
just chuckling and congratulating
That's cool.
me. It was fun. It was a great moment in my time.
Well, I tell you something. I know you've gone on, and we're running short now. But you coached, and just give us a little. Afterwards, you decided to share how it is to develop talent. And where did you coach?
I started coaching probably, I'd say a couple years after I retired, got out of the game. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And spoke with a couple of old friends, scouts that I knew, and they mentioned, maybe you ought to get into, do some coaching. I've had a long career. I played 8 years in the major leagues, but a total of 17 years of professional baseball. And in those 17 years, I played 13 years of winter ball. So my experience that I grew to know and become, it was exciting for me to want to teach and help other pitchers reach their goals. And so I became a coach, and I ended up coaching in the Tiger organization. I ended up coaching in the Florida Marlin organization, in the Boston Red Sox organization, the Oakland A's organization, and it took me further even to other countries. I coached in Taiwan, Republic of China. I coached in South Korea, and coached.
I remember that one.
Yeah. That's right. You came to visit me. Yeah, that was good. But it took me. So I ended up coaching 15 years professionally.
Cool.
Before retiring, and
Now,
that was that.
In closing, I want to ask you this question. So tell us about how you're taking that development of talent to youngsters so they can learn how to pitch, not hurt their arms, and maybe obtain their dreams by avoiding an injury. What did you invent? What do you have a patent on? And quickly tell me what it is and where is it our viewers can see it.
Yes. Well, I invented a throwing device that is a foundation for young kids to learn where exactly their arm belongs, how to properly position your arm and throw so you can have a repeatable arm motion. It's not something that is set in stone, but from my playing days and my experience, I know that probably 95% of all athletes or baseball players throw in this manner, and what it does, it puts your hand positioned behind the ball better. The follow through releases your shoulder. So it doesn't. You're not throwing against the grain or forcing your arm to do something that is not meant to do, because we weren't really meant to throw from up above our shoulder, but we do, and there are a lot of injuries caused by it, and especially if you had bad technique, you're going to get hurt. And so there are a lot of kids, especially in these times now, where the kids are developing a lot faster, a lot stronger. They're throwing harder. Their bodies are more developed. I mean, the game has changed. And so with this trying to throw harder with the improper mechanics that they're using, they're finding that their injuries are more severe.
So the name of the product?
Arm Track.
And where can you get it?
You can get it. You can get in touch with me. I'm going through a website change right now that I don't have it up, but it should be up here. Hopefully, we can get it up within a couple of weeks.
And the name and the website address?
Website, just go to armtrack.com.
Armtrack.com.
Armtrack, throwlikeapro.com.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and close this up. Let's throw like a pro.
Exactly.
Thank you, brother.
Forever. Thank you. Thank you for having me.